Such and Hilltop, perpetrators and women in their check fire. Second check fire.
In the past 10 years in the United States, the rights and responsibilities involving gun ownership and the Second Amendment have become ever present in the public's eye. What was once taken as a constitutional right is now being questioned. The right in question is the Second Amendment. Many people believe they know what it means, but do they really?
The Second Amendment states, a well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Currently, this can be interpreted to mean that people have the right to not only bear arms but own increasingly dangerous guns. However, was this the true intent of our forefathers in forming the Second Amendment?
To properly understand the Second Amendment, we first must go back to where it all started. On the night of April 18, 1775, British troops on order from King George III were sent to Concord in order to destroy civilian artillery stashes and ammunition. As British troops marched forward, the American militia, warned by Paul Revere, had already relocated the stash and were in preparation for battle. As the British left the empty Concord, they were attacked by the American militia, all the way to Lexington. The British finally retreated on April 19, 1775, after the battle at Lexington was over. What seemed like just another gruesome battle in the Revolutionary War would become one of the key moments that led to the Second Amendment. People still remembered the battles of Lexington and Concord, where the civilian militias and arms stashes played an important role in winning America's freedom. During the Revolutionary War, Americans didn't have a standing army and instead relied heavily on the use of civilian militias. When writing the Bill of Rights in 1789, James Madison and his fellow countrymen realized that even with their young standing army, the people still needed the right to organize a militia and protect themselves in case governmental tyranny ever developed.
The Second Amendment was very relevant when it was written, but not all parts of the Constitution have stayed relevant. Women's rights and slavery were not initially part of the Constitution. Likewise, the question can be raised about whether or not the Second Amendment has stayed current. There have been several important court rulings at the state and Supreme Court level in which the ambiguous nature of the Second Amendment has been defined. The first court case that set a long precedence was the United States versus Crookshanks. In this particular case, that came as a result in a follow-up of the Colfax Massacre, in which over 100 African Americans were killed by Democrats in Louisiana. Several important rulings came from this case, most important in which was that the Constitution did not allow private citizens to own guns, and that the Second Amendment had no other effect than to restrict the power of the national government. This was mainly to not allow blacks to own guns, but the Supreme Court set the precedents all the same.
In the 1939 court case of United States v. Miller involving an unregistered sawed-off shotgun being transported across state lines, the Supreme Court ruled that the type of gun does not determine whether or not a person can own it. It also ruled that Miller had not been outside of the Second Amendment. This was the initial step towards less regulation on the types of guns people could own in America.
These seemingly contradictory cases have been followed by a plethora of others. The Supreme Court slowly started ruling in favor of an interpretation of the Second Amendment in which people had the right to own arms for self-defense. Furthermore, the passing of the 14th Amendment in 1868 stated, "No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law." This meant that states no longer had the authority to stop citizens from owning guns. Cases like Poe v. Ullman, 1961, Adams v. Williams, 1972, and U.S. v. Lopez, 1995, all helped solidify the people's right to own guns and the state not being able to take them away. A recent ruling of the Second Amendment in the case of the District of Columbia v. Heller, 2008, ruled that the District of Columbia cannot ban handguns or require firearms to be disassembled within the home. even with the firm views the Supreme Court has expressed, increasing gun violence in the last 20 years has put these views in question.
Today, conflicting views on the Second Amendment have shifted from just having the right to own guns to how they affect society. While many people believe that increasing gun control will have no effect on the violence and will only violate our civil rights under the Second Amendment, others believe that increasing gun control will decrease violence in America and might possibly put an end to needless massacres. Some of the most infamous of these massacres include Columbine High School, April 20th, 1999, 13 dead. Virginia Tech, April 16th, 2007, 32 dead. Aurora Movie Theater, July 20th, 2012, 12 dead. Sandy Hook Elementary, December 14th, 2012, 27 dead.
As a country, we have been through this too many times. Whether it's an elementary school in Newton, or a shopping mall in Oregon, or a temple in Wisconsin, or a movie theater in Aurora, or a street corner in Chicago, these neighborhoods are our neighborhoods, and these children are our children. And we're going to have to come together and take meaningful action to prevent more tragedies like this, regardless of the politics.
According to the Washington Post, and shown by this graph, assault death rates in America are higher than any other country, even though the death rates have been decreasing over the last 30 years. Other statistics show 30,000 people are killed each year by firearms in the U.S. In addition, for every gun fired in self-defense, 7 guns are used in criminal assault and 4 in unintentional shootings. This graph shows states with stricter gun control laws have fewer gun-related deaths.
On the other hand, gun control has been statistically less popular in the past 5 years, with 54% of Americans preferring it to be less strict or kept as now in 2010. This supports the views of the NRA, an organization that advocates the right to own a gun.
Well, of course, the priority of the NRA is protecting and promoting Second Amendment rights, and also in working very hard to get this administration and get this government to concentrate on the real problems, and that's the school safety problem, and that's also crime. The NRA has been successful in this battle because they represent the overwhelming majority of people, and this is what the people in this country want. They believe in individual civil rights. They believe in individual freedoms, and we all know that none of these regulatory laws, confiscatory laws, will have any effect on crime. I mean, that was proven with the Brady gun ban for 10 years, and even President Obama and Vice President Biden have said none of these laws would have prevented Sandy Hook, but we just want to pass them just for a feel-good measure.
Over the past 250 years, the rights and responsibilities of the Second Amendment and gun ownership have grown and developed. But the question people ask today is, what are those rights and responsibilities now? According to the Supreme Court and the Second Amendment, people still have the right to own guns, but with this right comes increasing responsibilities. No matter where people stand, they all agree that these shootings need to be stopped. The Second Amendment has not transcended well into modern times. What was once intended to provide a civilian militia and prevent governmental tyranny has over time become about the right for the American citizens to protect themselves. Is the problem that our right to own guns is affecting our responsibility to protect each other? Or is the problem within our society and not related to gun control at all? The answer is not a simple one, and in the end will depend on which rights and responsibilities best support the nature of our country.